So many people struggle to get off their psychiatric medication. In this video, you will learn the 3 most overlooked reasons why people struggle to get off their antipsychotics. And if you don't know me, hi, my name is Aurelia. I used to struggle with recurring psychosis in a span of multiple years, and I fully recovered and I'm medication free. There are a few understandable reasons why this can go wrong. The first reason is that people taper off too fast. This is incredibly common, and you might have heard it before of people saying like, don't get off your medication suddenly, and that might be frustrating or annoying to hear because you maybe want it so badly, but there's real truth in it. When you've been on medication for a while, and especially if you have a high dosage as well, your body really gets used to it. So if you then suddenly get off your medication or taper too quickly, your body's like, hey, what is going on? It can overcompensate, and you might notice symptoms of anxiety or psychosis symptoms like getting really bigger, and this can be called the rebound effect. And those things can be really scary or unmotivated. You might think, see, I need this medication for the rest of my life. I cannot do it without it. But in this context, is that your system did not have enough time to recalibrate. Reducing in very small steps. Do this with a medical professional. They have the knowledge in what steps to take, like how many milligrams and that kind of stuff. So that's why you want to do it with a professional. Also, if things went too quickly, they can adjust together with you your medication. Sometimes the part of finding a professional that wants to work together with you can be more difficult, and I will elaborate on that later on in this video. It can even be expected to draw symptoms of like maybe very light psychotic symptoms or very light like anxiety that can come up again. That's not necessarily a reason to panic, but that can be a reason, to wait and stabilize or work on addressing other factors that are causing psychosis in your situation. And that leads us to the second reason, which is often very unfortunately overlooked but so important, is that the factors that are causing your psychosis aren't addressed or addressed enough. Modern research shows that psychosis is always multifactorial. This is regardless of diagnosis, because regardless of diagnosis, full recovery is possible as well. That means that at least 2 factors are always causing the symptoms. This can be prolonged stress, an underlying sensitivity to psychosis, which can be worked on, or trauma. That means that if psychotic symptoms are very much present and overtaking your life still, and that it's very important to look into those factors and work on them gradually. This is also what I teach in my newest course, Psychosis Recovery 101. I teach people how to address those factors. So I really recommend checking that out. So what happens then if you haven't addressed the factors enough is that you've been on medication that can stabilize you for a prolonged time, but the moment you taper off, the issue is still there because it hasn't been addressed. And that can feel very overwhelming. And again, like a reason of like, oh, look, this is the reason why I cannot get better, or things like that, while that's often not the issue. And again, that can be worked on. Like even very simple or overlooked things can really make a difference over time. I'm a firm believer that recovery and healing is multifaceted, meaning one thing isn't usually gonna seal the deal in recovery, but it's usually multiple things in a prolonged time, especially if you've been struggling with psychosis for a longer time or a prolonged time. So that can be things like having a daily rhythm, finding supportive and safe people to connect with, spending time in safe and grounding environments such as nature, reducing stress where possible, and also learn more resistance to stress. And it can also be very helpful to notice and learn what are the things that trigger me, and how could I support myself in those things. So what happens if you have tackled the factors causing your psychosis and then you taper off medication, you will notice that the whole process will feel so much more stable. It's very normal then to, of course, be scared of like a relapse in symptoms, but you have mobilized yourself a lot more that if it were to occur again, you know what to do and you know how to counter it naturally, basically. So the third reason is a lack of the right support. And this is a big one because a lot of places and people are still really stuck in that traditional thinking that even mentioning wanting to get off or taper off medication is a taboo. And that can make things very difficult. Or you deal with professionals who don't really understand that whole process. Really, someone who's willing to take on that journey with you as partners. And then the conclusion can quickly become like, okay, you need to get back on medication. Even if your system in reality just maybe needed more time, more resources, more support. So, what helps instead? Having support that is patient, informed, and open. If possible, working with someone who understands tapering, withdrawal, or connecting with peer support, places like here, people who've been through these things themselves. Even having one person that doesn't instantly dismiss your wants or needs, pathologizes your experiences, can be very helpful, because tapering off isn't just like this medical biological process. It's very multifaceted as well. It's something that can affect your whole life and you really deserve support in that. So if you struggled with tapering off or relapsed, it didn't go the way you hoped it would, just know that it doesn't have to be the end. It doesn't mean you failed. It very often means you just needed more time, more tools, and those are things that can be worked with. If this video resonated with you, please like and subscribe to support the channel so it can reach more people as well. You can also share your experiences in the comments if you feel safe to do so. If you need additional guidance from me, check out the link in my bio. And if you're currently tapering off, be gentle with yourself, and thank you for being here.